Hey guys, Stephen and Shaun with you once again, and today we're diving into that inbox. Go for it, Shaun Preece.
Whee!
Oh, that's nice.
Ah, that's good.
This is Double Tap, where blind people talk tech.
Is it?
Here's Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
No.
Two grown men
That's so weird.
spending way too much time together on a Zoom call, and this is ridiculous. How you doing, Shaun?
That's like our catchphrase now. It's all fine. It's a tax deduction or something. It's business. It's all fine.
It's
honestly.
all fine, honest.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm glad to hear that you're still with us. I mean, on the show, obviously. I don't mean in life. Although I'm
Stand
glad
by,
about that
Mickey
as
B.
well. I'm glad about that. I'm glad you're here. Mr. F was happy to hear you were back as well.
Mr. F.
God bless you, Mr. F. I'd never let you down, sir.
No.
Except I did for those 2 days.
Yeah, you did, yeah. Right, look, shall we just dive right in? Because, I'm
not doing it again.
It feels like ages since we've done this.
Yes.
It does,
Hit
doesn't it? It feels like ages.
Hit it.
All right, here it
hit
is.
it.
Hit it.
Email. Hit it. We get email. We get your email every day.
Oh, hang on. A ding dong.
Here's your mail today.
Hey, sure, I'm out of practice.
Oh, dear, yeah.
Oh,
We're
sorry.
terrible at our jobs. This little mixer of mine isn't working properly anymore. Don't buy digital. It's all terrible.
Or inaccessible ones.
Well,
they're
yeah.
terrible.
The inaccessible ones are the worst.
I know, but they do the job for us. That's the trouble. We just can't use them.
I know. I've just realised I've done
As this shows.
I've done the same thing again. Can you believe this?
What have you done?
Honestly, I am terrible at my job.
Oh, wait, no. Is this the new segment? Is this email roulette? We just don't know what we're going to get.
What's coming.
I love this.
I feel we should replace the email jingle with Forrest Gump saying, "Life is like a box of chocolates."
And at the end of the show, we'll just play them all again in sequence.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Okay.
Fantastic.
You're a star, Stephen Scott.
Okay, well, into the... okay, well, here we go then. Let's just dive right in and see what we get. Ready?
Email number 1, please.
Hi, Stephen and Shaun. It's Leander. Thanks again for a wonderful show. Just wanted to come in on the comment about the lack of teaching in schools on screen readers. I was very lucky when I was at school because I was taught Braille and screen readers. My preferred method has always been Braille because I preferred reading things as opposed to listening to them. But it's interesting what you say. We had an IT teacher for the blind who went all round the different schools teaching screen readers, etc. It covered a vast area when I was at school. And then, if I'd have been there a few years later, all the councils fell out. And basically, he could only work in the authority where he lived, which wasn't ours. So my friend who I know who lives in that authority would have got that training, but I not necessarily would have. So it's interesting. I think it's wrong how it goes. I think that, like you say, there should be both. There should be the teaching of screen readers and of Braille. I mean, I was introduced to screen readers at age 11, first of all, with a program called Lookout, which we used on my teacher's aide PC to get me used to using it. And then obviously after that, well, not obviously, but we went to JAWS, and that was that. So, yeah, thanks once again for a wonderful show. I did hear another interesting thing on a podcast the other day about the new Amazon Cube, Amazon Fire Cube. It was on the podcast you used to do, Stephen, Tech Talk. Jackie Brown was demonstrating it, and it sounded really interesting with the voice built in. So, I was quite pleased with that. Anyway, thanks once again for a great show.
Thanks, Leander. No, that Fire TV Cube, that's not new, is it? That's been out for a while.
I don't know. I don't think they've released a new version, which actually I was just going to bring up because, I was quite interested in the Fire TV Cube, which came out a while ago now. But with the release of the new Fire TV Stick, did that have a new OS on it? Did that actually come out with the new OS? So I'm wondering, is this like in the future they're going to bring out a new version? I honestly don't know, but I'm a little bit wary about getting into the Fire TV Cube at the moment.
Yeah, well, especially if the new versions of the Fire TV sticks are going to have this new OS, and it doesn't sound like the older editions of the Fire TV are going to get this. Although I don't know, it's not clear.
Yeah, well, it's too vague at the minute. What's going to happen? We still don't quite know just how accessible the new OS is going to be when it comes to the what do they call it?
Vega.
Well done, thank you very much.
That's what they call it. They called it Vega, but I want to say Vega, as in Sega. Remember back in the day?
Yes, I had a Mega Drive. No, or Genesis. Hello, America.
Oh,
I'm thinking about. You were just saying it was vague. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that. I'd love someone who's going to get hands on.
That just took me a second there.
Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
And when it comes down to the teaching of screen readers and Braille, it just seems so ridiculous that we're still having this conversation about, people should be taught this or the resources should be made available. And mentioning how, the councils fell out. It's all to do with funding, isn't it? No matter where you are in the world, is there resources available to pay someone to do this? And of course, it's essential that people have accessibility taught to them, be that a screen reader, be that Braille. I mean, there's absolutely no reason that the both of those tools shouldn't be available to someone. It just...
Yep, I agree.
I despair sometimes that we're still having this conversation.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think it's a challenge because, look, I've heard it from the teachers of visually impaired children who say you can't overload the kids' brains with every single thing you can think of. I get that argument, and I obviously that it's very individual as well. I think there's a lot of missed opportunities. I remember growing up with getting taught how to use magnification for a very short period. Then we switched to Macs in our school, and that's what got me into Mac basically. And we all had Macs, and there was very little on there. I mean, Outspoken was kind of a thing at that time, around about 95, 94, Outspoken, which was the precursor to what VoiceOver became, but that was a third-party option. So you would install Outspoken onto the Mac, which I thought was a great name actually for VoiceOver. That's quite
cool,
good.
Actually, yeah.
But it was okay, and we were never taught how to use it. It was like, oh, here we go, it's a thing, and you could use it if you want, but no one ever taught me how to use it. Well, I mean, it wasn't even a teacher. I think I told you this story, that it was the teacher's son, who came in and did all the work on the computers because no one knew what to do with them.
Pure luck, right? Pure luck that someone was there. Otherwise, who knows where you'd be now, Stephen Scott?
But I was never taught how to use a screen reader because it was never seen. I was never deemed. I mean, how they thought I didn't need one when I couldn't read a single thing on the computer blew me away. I mean, I was using a very small PowerBook at the time. I can't remember what size the screen would be on it. Very small. And the font size was up to like 72. That was the most I could get, was font size 72. And at no point did anyone say, maybe you should use a screen reader. Because that's the only thing I could read was the text. I couldn't even, I had to have someone with me to save the files because I couldn't see the files, save dialogue, all that stuff.
And that someone was being paid for, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
Unless it was a fellow student.
No, but you know what I mean? It's like having someone next to you to literally, can you save that for me, please? Can you open this file? And then once the document was open, I could actually sort of see it. It's ridiculous.
You know what? I'd love to hear from TVIs or people in the field who could say, because I don't buy the overwhelmed. You know what? You could say, well, I can't teach you maths and English. You'd be overwhelmed.
Well, that's my thinking, yeah. It's like, where do you stop? And, again, it's about understanding choice. Kids will pick this stuff up so much more quickly. And I think it's about how you teach. It's not always about class. I think peer support was a great thing. I've learned more in my time as a blind guy spending time with other blind people. So if you had a bunch of blind kids who were kind of taught the basics and then kind of left to learn or, go, because one's always going to run further than the other. There's always going to be one that's going to just take it and run, and then someone else is going to be able to pick up on that. That could be a way of doing it. That could be a way of peer support. So you don't see it more as a class, you see it more of as an experience. That could be one way of doing it.
I don't know. I don't think, kids don't enjoy every single topic or subject they're taught at school.
Or any. I hated school.
Yeah. But the point is, as we all know, we know the benefits of learning this stuff early, right? Screen reader, Braille, whatever it may be. So you're going to learn it. I'm sorry. I know that sounds harsh. Even if you hate it, you're going to learn it because later on you'll look back and say, thank God someone taught me that.
Well, you said it before, and I've said it as well. The one thing I think, if I think back to school, there's probably loads of things that I don't think about every day that I think, well, I'm glad I learned this or I'm glad I learned that. And there's English, for example, one, which helped me a lot with a lot of different things, like speaking it. But
Well done. You'll get there.
One day soon. Like I say, it takes time. But I think learning to type was the most useful thing I got.
Yep.
And actually, that wasn't even part of the curriculum. That wasn't part of it. It was part of the visual impairment side of the school, where they said you need to learn to type. And we had these big, huge typewriters, electronic typewriters. And we sat there with a piece of paper over our hands. Why, I don't know, but we did. And that would be it. I'd learned to type. And that was the best thing that ever happened, because we've spoken to a few people who, over the years, I've spoken to who say, I'd love to use a screen reader, but I just don't know how to use a keyboard.
Yeah.
And it's funny when you speak to people, and I had a situation once where I spoke to a lady, and she said to me, I really want to learn screen reader. And I said, okay, that's fine. I can help you. We can get started on this. And I said to her, okay, first thing you want to do is hit the Windows key. And she said, where's that?
And it stops you in your tracks.
And then I'm like, I said, can you touch type? No. And I thought, what do we do here? Because
where do you start? Yeah.
She's got no idea. So I'm like, well, the first thing you're going to have to do is learn to type. That's just, you're going to have to do that. There's no way around this. You need to know that keyboard.
And how many people at that point would go, forget it?
Forget it. Yeah, exactly. And especially those using smartphones. There's a lot of people who I think use smartphones because they just can't be bothered. I think there's a lot of people who, generations now, would just skip using a computer and they'll use their phone for everything. I think if a lot of people, especially younger kids now growing up, I don't mean even blind kids, I mean any kid, frankly, today, if they could use their smartphone for all their work, they probably would never touch a laptop or a computer.
But even then, knowing the layout of the QWERTY keyboard is essential for on-screen typing. And even if you're using dictation, you can't use that for everything. Try entering your password using dictation and see how
They're
far
all
you
typing
get.
with emojis now. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay.
It's all smiley face and poo face and whatever it is.
I hated touch typing. My fingers were bloody stumps using those old typewriters. Your finger used to go in between the keys, so they have to pull it out.
Honestly, no. You didn't have the ones I had. We had electronic.
Oh no, mine were worse.
Yeah, they were, because I had the electronic typewriter, which had a nice keyboard.
Oh wow!
It was very spongy. I was critical of keyboards even back then. I'm sorry, miss. This keyboard is too spongy for me.
The travel just isn't doing it for me.
No,
what can I say?
I demand my actuation be realised. Okay, thank you for that, Leander. Great one to start us off with. Thomas follows up with a similar topic.
Hey, Double Tappers. Another thing that came up on the podcast for Friday, the 8th of August, was a discussion of screen readers and mouse usage on the desktop context. I use NVDA and Narrator on my Win 10 system, and I'm desperately trying to retain what little eyesight I have and usage of it. So I am a person who does the hybrid thing. I need the screen reader to actually read things for me, but I have a general sense of the layout of websites, so I can't help myself but use the mouse. Anyway, there are some nuances with using the mouse with either Narrator or NVDA. Stephen's right. They both have modes where you can enable voice speech that reads whatever's underneath the mouse. Those are not it's not the default. You'll have to go into settings on both NVDA and Narrator to enable that. I also find it handy to enable highlighting of focus, just so I can sort of sort things out. But there are some interesting nuances that sort of drive me crazy. When I use Narrator with the mouse, you can actually do a selection with the mouse over some text that otherwise doesn't have any controls over it. And it will shift the focus of Narrator so that subsequent reading picks up there, which I find to be a terribly useful thing. And I have had long discussions in the GitHub forum for NVDA about this, and it's almost a religious issue having something to do with the virtual document or something like that, and the cursor and all that. But I think hell's going to freeze over before they have a comparable thing in NVDA where you can draw the focus of NVDA reading with the mouse cursor. Anyway, that's just a little bugaboo of mine, and thought I'd mention it because I had a chance. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, I think hell has frozen over. I think if we check outside, I think that is officially true. No, look, I have to say it's funny because when I was starting to use a screen reader, two things I was always told to do: throw the mouse away and turn the screen off. So I never really used a screen reader with a mouse. I know you can with NVDA.
What?
But I never did.
No. I think the majority of people move from magnification, and then their first dalliance with a screen reader is usually turning it on whilst using the magnification and using the mouse.
With a screen reader?
Yeah. I had magnification on, and I would move it around, but then I would put the cursor over a large paragraph of text and just let it read it with the mouse tracking. So I used it for a long time like that.
Yeah, I never did that. I mean, maybe it was just a thing I felt I had to do. I think I felt I had to learn the screen reader, so forget the magnification almost.
You felt you had to do it, so you did it, Stephen Scott. You did the proper, correct thing. Is that what you're saying?
What? Get rid of the mouse and keyboard?
Yeah,
not
because
leave the keyboard. You can take the mouse. Right. Don't mix this up. Get rid of the mouse and get rid of the screen.
All the time on social media, people asking, when's the time to transition from magnification to a screen reader? And of course, the answer is always now. Just do it now, even if you don't need the screen reader. If you don't, like Tom was saying there, he can switch between. Do it now, because later on it's going to be harder. I don't actually agree with that. I think, technically it's the correct answer, but I think people just don't work with that until they need it, until it's a necessity that they need to use the screen reader. I just don't think people do. While you've got that usable vision, you're going to use it, no matter how impractical or how close your nose is on that screen. You're going to do it. I know I did.
I think that's true. I think as much as we advise it, because we kind of learned it from the other side, right? We're talking from the other side of this story.
Of course, but in reality,
it's also because you're dealing with your failing vision, and so you've got all the stuff that's going on with that, all the emotions, all the mental health aspects of it, all that's going on. So we all kind of bathe in a little bit of denial for a while, and if you say to someone use a screen reader, it feels like giving up. It just feels like you're giving up the screen. You're giving up I know exactly how that feels, because even now when I use the Mac, I use the Mac. The Mac is the device I've used the longest visually.
Yes.
And I've always tried as much as possible to use the visual component of it, because the zoom aspect of it is just so good. But that's become harder and harder and harder. And when you actually say, right, okay, I'm going to switch the screen off and use this, there's a sense of loss. It's a weird feeling. I know it's not like losing a pet or a family member. I don't mean like that. I mean, just lost in the sense of everything just gets a bit grey. It's like, right, now I've got to listen to this and make sense of it. And it just feels like you've lost something. It's really strange, because I think because, when you hear about all the new features that are coming, okay, I must admit Liquid Glass didn't particularly interest me that much. But, when you hear about all these cool things that are coming and they sound amazing and they sound like they look amazing, you kind of think, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I still do. Yeah, but only for a split second, and I get over it. But I do know what you mean.
It hangs with me a little bit longer these days. I don't know why. These days more recently I've noticed that it hangs with me a little bit. I get irritated by it a little bit longer, and I kind of wish I didn't. I need to be more Shaun.
You can't, I know, but you can't control that. It's going to annoy you. I got really annoyed when Half-Life Alyx came out for a VR headset. I mean, I was waiting all my life for VR to become a thing that was actually good for gaming, and then the time it came around, I was blind. Thank you. Anyway, I've let that go now.
I noticed.
Obviously.
Yeah.
It's not a thing at all.
As he sweeps everything off his desk in anger.
But I got 3 levels of denial last week. When I was trying to sort out my friend's laptop I mentioned. I was trying to sort it out. I was using NVDA remote to control his computer, which obviously has no visuals to it. I was looking at my laptop screen, trying to see his screen, which isn't there, right?
Yep.
Looking at my screen, which I can't see, and also my laptop was shut. Didn't even have a screen open. So
That's it. You got it all.
I got the trifecta.
That is nirvana.
And for a split second, I was sure I was seeing the icons, and it's like, there's no screen there. In any concept, is there a screen there? But yeah, you still...
And then you find someone's nicked your laptop, and it's like, what on earth am I doing?
Oh, dear. I can't even remember what we were talking about now. Yes, okay. And NVDA using the mouse to, if you select some text, the focus should jump to it. I would agree with that. I think I would expect that behavior as well. It's obviously I don't use a mouse anymore, so that's something I've never really looked into. But I think that's perfectly reasonable.
Well, it's the cursor following the actual cursor itself following the
carrot,
NVDA cursor.
I believe it's called technically, which I still don't understand. But yes, the carrot should follow the mouse cursor.
I haven't got the sound effect. I had to do it myself.
Oh, what a shame.
I know. That was a shame.
Okay.
What have I got here that I could do that with? Cookie! Nah, it doesn't work.
That's terrible.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Tom.
It's a tech show, honest. Right. Here's Pete.
Hi, Stephen and Shaun. A couple of things. Regarding Shaun's search for an accessible system backup program, I use the free version of Active at Disk Image. This is a very accessible program for all kinds of system manipulation. When doing a system backup, every step you can do by just cursoring, tabbing, and pressing enter. Once the backup has started, this is the only time you need to use the equivalent of the NVDA or JAWS cursor to read the percentage to check how much of the backup has been done. Some more programs that are free might interest you are the ones written by a blind programmer called Nathan. I use several of his programs on a daily basis, especially his Lunar backup, which is ideal for backing up anything to your computer that changes on a daily basis, and you can do it manually or by schedules. He also has a media player, podcast program, and many more. And of course, as he is a blind person himself, everything has been written to work perfectly with screen readers. You can find his software at www.nathantech.net/Nathan Tech Software. Finally, it would be good if you could get an interview with the chap that has invented the NextGuide Smart White Cane. It won't be released for at least 18 months, as he has just finished all the development and is now raising funds to manufacture it. But it is like the WeWALK on steroids. Not only will it warn you of obstacles the way the WeWALK will, but it has a couple of extra features that will make it much better than the WeWALK. It has a camera that detects what is around you, for example, the curb on one side of you, and garden fences, walls, shop fronts, and such like on the other side. And by using a rotating arrow that you put your thumb on, keeps you in the middle of the path. So, as you're walking along, you just follow the way the arrow points to avoid walking into anything, including overhead obstacles. The inventor's name is Alexander Bayer. Cheers, Pete.
Very interesting, Pete. Did not know about that one. That's very, very cool. And you clearly didn't know about that software either.
Software, nathantech.net. I will definitely check that out. Thank you so much. That sounds amazing. Exactly what I'm looking for. And WeWALK on steroids, Stephen Scott. That sounds cool.
So I have concerns. One being...
Oh, here he is.
Well,
they'll bring the cloud on everything.
No,
rain on our parade.
And with the WeWALK Smart Cane 2, you now can rain on that parade because, before in the first edition, you couldn't rain on that parade or it would,
very good.
It would kill it off entirely.
Waterproofing.
Yeah, they fixed that in the second gen, which is good. Look, I think the problem I have is how much is too much when it comes to overload of information. This is what kind of annoyed me about the initial WeWALK Smart Cane and some other equivalents that were out there. They often give you a lot of haptic feedback. They gave you a lot of information. I remember the Sunu band back in the day. That's now gone, sadly. That's no more. But that, again, would just randomly give off these vibrations. Didn't make any sense as to why. There was nothing in front of me, yet it would just buzz away, and then it would buzz more, buzz again, buzz.
Don't doubt the tech. It knew there was something there.
There was nothing there. At least if there was, I wasn't walking into it because I was walking straight ahead and nothing was hitting me. So, I often think we've got to watch how much we put into this stuff. I mean, I kind of like the idea of the camera in there, but how does that function? How reliable is that going to be? A lot of questions. The rotating arrow thing, I mean, that sounds cool, but practically, I mean, again, when it's overtaking your orientation and mobility skills, which you need to have, that foundation of knowledge to use a cane. And, you know, it's kind of weird that I say that in 2025, but it does seem that I need to say it because, unfortunately, with the lack of resources and services out there now, and people who are actually getting access to support to learn how to use a white cane, there is a real issue where people are just going out and buying these WeWALK canes, or even regular canes, Ambutech or whatever. They're going out buying canes and just using them, not without any training. So they don't really understand how to use the cane properly, which means that they may be relying on this kind of technology to help them guide themselves around, but they don't have the fundamentals. And I would argue that if you know the fundamentals, having a rotating arrow in front of you telling which way to walk will just get in the way of you actually walking where you're trying to go. That'd be my first thought. I haven't tried this, don't know, but I just think more can sometimes get in the way.
You think less is more, Stephen Scott. All I want is something. The WeWALK obstacle detection sounds great. I'm just worried that it's not going to detect things under the level of my face. That's all I want. I want something that's going to tell me that car's in front of you, that trash can's in front of you, that metal lampost's in front of you, and just give me a beep or a shake. That's all I need from a cane. That's more than enough. Thank you.
Yeah, but again, the cane is intended to help you locate and find objects, right?
Yes, it is.
But that's what the job of the cane is. That's first and foremost. So, you know, if you're expecting the object detection to find a pole, for example, you're going to be left wanting. That's not what it's for. That's not what it's going to do. First off, it's never going to be able to detect that because it's too small. It's too narrow to be able to pick up.
Yes.
So how do you expect? So that's what the cane does. The cane will find it for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's your point? What are you wanting?
My point is, I want the best of both worlds. We just talked previously about the dot looming, okay, and the comparison to the guide dog. The guide dog walks you around obstacles. Obviously, the white stick, we need to we locate those obstacles and work around them, right? I want the best of both worlds. I want that pre-warning, so I don't have to walk into it. I still jar myself, you know, on obstacles in front of me where I'm not expecting them with a cane. So I want that, just a little bit of pre-warning, and technology can do that, be that sonar, be that AI-processed cameras, whatever it may be. I don't think we're too far away from that. I'm just not sure. I think I kind of agree with you that canes are trying to do too much. I don't need everything else. All I want it to do is tell me that there's an obstacle coming.
Well, look, we'll reach out. We'll find out more about it. Very interesting. It's always good to know about this stuff that's being developed. Right, look, we'll take a short break. We'll come back and we'll get into more of your feedback. And of course, you can get involved with the show at any time. Double Tap thanks Turtleback Cases for supporting this podcast and for their decades-long commitment to the blind and low vision community. Since 2003, Turtleback has been the original name behind protective leather cases for note-takers, trusted by thousands and designed with real feedback from real users. Made in the USA, their cases are rugged, ergonomic, and built to last. They offer custom-fitted protection for devices like the Victor Reader Stream 3, Blindshell Classic 3, Mantis Q40, Sense Player, Orbit Reader 20, Focus 40, Braille eMotion, and more. Use promo code DT12 for 12% off your entire order. And yes, they ship worldwide via FedEx, complete with tracking. Visit turtlebacklv.com to see the full lineup.
Get in touch with Double Tap. Email feedback@doubletaponair.com. Leave us a voicemail at 1-877-803-4567. And now you can send an audio or video message to us on WhatsApp. That number is 1-613-481-0144.
Okay, let's get back into the feedback then. And Gregory's been in touch.
Hello, Stephen and Shaun. I wanted to comment about Stephen's ongoing talks concerning Braille and sometimes being shamed by some who think Braille must be learned and used by all who are blind. Today, I am very comfortable with the level of Braille I use in my life, but there were some who tried to shame me because I did not want to use Braille to read long passages or large books. Today, I'm 66, but in 2013, at the age of 54, I was taught Braille by an Illinois Blind Services instructor. At that time, a person wanting to learn Braille or needed skills to live independently was not required to sign up for vocational rehab. Now, someone who needs training for daily living skills must sign up for vocational rehab. So someone who is 80 years old must sign up to get a job before getting training to live out their daily lives. Does that really make any sense?
No.
During COVID, I wanted to learn UEB Braille over Zoom. The Braille instructor from 2013 told me of the vocational training requirement, so I signed up for the training. Learning UEB over Zoom was a breeze, with brailing my lessons on my Perkins and sending them to my instructor by snail mail. Also during COVID, I volunteered to mentor people who wanted to learn Code 1 Braille over Zoom. There, I experienced some who pressured me into thinking I must learn to read Braille with 2 hands so I could read faster. I struggled with that criticism and felt some guilt that I should learn Braille in a fashion I did not think I needed. I enjoy reading and writing Braille at my own pace or choosing what material I wish to read. My Braille usage is in the form of labelling and recording some important documents, but I choose to read long Braille with just a few examples. I receive National Geographic magazine by on-demand paper and on my e-reader. I alternate from the paper copy to my e-reader to keep in practice. This month, I damaged my Perkins writer by pulling a piece of paper out which broke the line down lever. Sent the Perkins off to be repaired and received it back within a few weeks. I enjoy using Braille at my own pace and like how I use it in my daily life. This month, I will begin to speak at a local senior citizens group and introduce basic Braille to anyone who is interested. I am satisfied with how I use Braille and glad I did not take the advice of some who pressured me into doing something that made me feel uncomfortable. As always, thank you for the banter, rant, waffling, opinion, interviews, and tech. From Gregory.
Well, we do try.
I did like the way the tone of tech there.
Was that a Laura injected tone, or was that Gregory, do you think?
No, I think that's Laura sarcasm. Thank you, Laura, by the way. Love you.
Laura. Yeah, lovely Laura. It always infuriates me when people shame other people for not doing things the way they want. I was following a conversation on Mastodon just the other day, and there was a whole thing about how someone chose to have their food cut up before they eat it because it's just easier for them. And the other blind people would criticize them for it and say, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be doing that yourself. And of course, there's many people who, for many other reasons, might need to have their food cut up. It's not always due to blindness. But even if it is only due to blindness, that's the thing that person prefers. What's the problem, and why should other people be allowed to just comment on it and make us all feel bad about it?
Oh, that you had to pick that one thing. I'm not sure how I feel about that, Stephen Scott.
Cutting up the food.
Cutting up of food. I've seen it many times. And like you say, look, if there's another disability or another issue there when it comes to the reason why you want your food cut up, absolutely. Just because you can't see your food, you need it cut up before you? I don't know. Can you say that about anything? Can you say that about you need it done for you because you're blind? When we know when it comes to cutting up food, no, you don't.
Okay, again, it's a choice. Preference. It's a choice. So you're saying you don't, but that would be in the judgy sense. You're being judgy. Judge Shaun.
Am I being judgy, or am I saying you have the skill to cut up your food?
No, I don't think people who don't cut up their food or wish others do it are doing this necessarily all the time. I imagine a lot of cases where this is happening are in restaurants. And I can kind of understand this. Me too. Utterly terrified. Every time I eat something, I buy food based on the amount of sauce and the amount of, or lack of amount of sauce or drippy, anything, frankly, that can come off this food. So, I remember we went to a restaurant one day, my wife and it was, I had pancakes, banana, and maple syrup. And it was gorgeous. I ate that so quickly whilst sweating profusely because I was absolutely convinced that I was going to be covered in maple syrup by the end of that meal.
And you were.
And I probably was. I think I was in the end. And it really irritated me. Now, I'm not saying that cutting up the food would have been the solution there. It would have helped, perhaps, but...
Well, someone feeding you would have been the solution there, Stephen Scott.
That's true,
but
yeah.
Look, of course, there's, as we always come back to, context, of course, right? When I go to a restaurant, I may say, yeah, can you cut the steak up for me? Because by the time I finish sawing through that steak, all the other veg and sides are just all over the table.
Well, that's
right?
the point, right?
I'm absolutely aware of that. Of course I am. I'm talking about if the reason is I'm blind, therefore I can't cut up food. That's not the case. That isn't true.
But some of the people on them, and it'd be interesting if you read that comment or those messages on that Mastodon post, because what was interesting was a lot of people said, I'm just not good at cutting up the food. I think I'm cutting it up properly. I'm not. It's going everywhere, or stuff, as you say, is landing on the table. There's a real
you try and
fear.
put a cut piece into your mouth and realize the other half of the steak is still attached to it.
That's right, yeah.
Which is incredibly embarrassing. Or I bring the fork to my mouth and there's nothing on the fork. I mean, these are blind things that you deal with.
I think what really gets me more than anything else is this kind of idealized world some people think we should live in. I laugh so much because on one hand, you have a bunch of sighted people who think we're incapable of doing absolutely anything. Right? We're incapable of breathing in and out. We manage that somehow, but they don't know how. And then you have another group of people who are often blind people who are perhaps your peers, who think that not only should you be doing what you should be doing, but excelling at it in every possible way. And then you're stuck in the middle, feeling like you can't make anybody happy. This is like a new level. This is like a new level of the blind and sighted and then partially sighted person sitting in the middle.
There's a difference between cutting your food and being super blind, navigating the desert on your own.
No. But the point is, if you're sitting there and you ask someone at a table, look, would you mind cutting this up for me? And then you have a whole bunch of blind people also sitting at the table. Oh, come on, you can't cut up your own food. And there may well be a good reason for that. Absolutely, but that's the point. That's exactly the point.
No. The point is the reason behind it. I would never say to someone who did that in front of me, ordered food and said, can I get it cut up? I wouldn't say a thing because I don't know the reason for that. Maybe they've got arthritis. Maybe they've got whatever it may be.
So why judge them on it? But people are doing that. People are feeling like, I can't say this or I can't do this or maybe it's wrong. And it's not wrong.
If the person came out and said, well, I need it cut up because I can't see, I would say, actually, that doesn't hold. There's no correlation there.
But you
can cut up food if you can't see.
There might be, but again, I think there might be something in this. That's the point. I think there might be something in that. Now, it could be that person needs daily living skills training or whatever, and have never had it. Look, how many, let's say it, men out there, frankly, couldn't cook a meal if their life depended on it.
Absolutely fine. Okay, then here, let me show you how to cut up food.
So that's one aspect of it, right? But I hate the judgy, preachy stuff. I really do.
No, I
hate
get
this
it.
idea of it. I've had it so many times in my own life where it's either you're not doing something to perfection, or and then the sighted person who actually sometimes I prefer sighted people, to be perfectly honest, because I kind of know they have no expectations for anything. So I don't have to play up to anything. It's just like, yeah, I'm just me, whatever. And if you think I could be an astronaut or I could be a nothing, it doesn't make any difference to you because you're just, as far as you're concerned as a sighted person, I'm incapable of anything. So that's fine. But the idea of then being challenged by people who are saying, well, you should do it better. And the Braille example is, and Gregory brings up the whole reading from reading with both hands. I tried that. I have no earthly idea how that is possible. Someone does that. Now, I think the answer to it is learning young. I think if you've learned as a kid how to learn how to read Braille using both hands, I think that's probably something that's sunk in very early on. And certainly you've had a lot of time to perfect. But coming to Braille later in life and learning with two hands, I think you'll be in the minority if you can do it, and good for you if you can. But I have never understood this. And again, I hear a lot of, and this is what we do on the show. We say these things, and then people come back to me and say, thank God you said that, because I feel like I'm the only person in the world that doesn't read Braille with both hands, and everyone criticizes me for it, or makes me feel, this is maybe the bigger point, makes me feel like I should, or I'm doing something wrong, or I'm not getting it right. I'm not doing it 100% if I'm not doing it this way. When the truth is, it's like speed reading with Braille. Some people say, oh, you're quite slow at reading. Yeah, do you know what? I'm still learning, and I'll get there. But I'm also happy at my pace. It does the job for me. I'm not sitting reading tons of material in Braille. I'm checking spelling. I'm checking things that, specific things that actually really works out well when you're a slow speed reader. Because,
well, the examples that Tom gave were perfect examples, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And when we start anything, when you want to learn anything, no matter what it is, a smartphone, getting started with a computer, you always start with the basics because that's what draws people in. And once they get the basics, they think, oh, it'd be quite cool, actually. I could take this further to reading an entire book in Braille or whatever. But it's always the basics that draw people in anyway. I just think, look, it's how people approach it. There may be a perfectly, I'm I'm not a Braille user, so I don't know. There may be some really good reasons why two-hand reading is preferable.
Well, it's about speed, right? It's all about speed.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but
because one hand is reading and the other hand is finding the next line. And it's not that, I mean, I know some people can somehow do it with both hands and read. I don't get that. But apparently it's more for when I was starting out and learning it, it was about being able to locate the next line as you were moving your hand along so you use your right hand to move along, and your left hand is kind of following along and then drops down to the next line, comes back to the beginning. To me, though, my brain just can't take that. I'm sorry. My brain just cannot fathom.
Yeah, I get that, right? And if someone says you're doing that wrong, then absolutely, that's not going to help anyone. That is piling on the guilt, right? It's not going to help at all. But if someone says, further down the line, hey, this is a technique that can be really useful, then I think actually that's just pointing people in a direction. The amount of time I've been doing something on a computer and someone will say, I don't know how you remember to do this or how you get there. And I always say, you'll be there too at some point. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just because it's just use and muscle memory. You'll get there
but that's
as
because
well.
You're a decent human being. You're not, going out there and saying to people, look, actually, it reminds me a little bit of the Braille literacy argument, when people talk about Braille being literacy.
That's true, yeah.
And it kind of comes back to that thing of, well, there's only one way to get it right. There's only one way to succeed. Braille equals getting a job. I don't know statistics that back that up. I don't think there are any. And if there are, please send me them. Please tell me where they are.
Depends on the job as well.
Well, exactly, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
As a bus driver, I don't think Braille would be much use to me. In fact, to be perfectly honest, being a bus driver wouldn't be much use to me either. Yeah, well, you're supposed to use two hands, all right? I mean, left, right.
Yeah.
But no, I just think, we often are surrounded by a lot of guilt. Do it this way, do it that way. This is how we do it. I know people who've criticised me, for example, in the past for having a cleaner. Well, you should clean your own house. You're blind. You're not unable to clean your own house.
Yeah. Push a vacuum around. What's the matter with you?
Yeah, well, okay, I can do that. And here's what happened. In that exact example, here's what happened. So there I am, and this is what led me to get the cleaner. My wife and I spent the best part of about, I'd say 4 hours, top to bottom, cleaning top to bottom in the house, right? Her mother arrives and says, okay, I'm not going to lie to you, you've missed a lot. A lot of things here that have been missed. And this whole bit over here, and there was this whole thing here. And even though you've cleaned that, you haven't cleaned it all the way. It was still dirty. And it just made me think, I can't, I'm not doing this right. I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting my life doing these stupid things when, frankly, a cleaner can come in. It's done in seconds, done in minutes. And it just made my life easier. Now, we're fortunate in this country, in the UK, to get personal independence payment. We can afford, if we want to use it for that, and I do. But my justification for having a cleaner is I want to make sure the job is done properly. And do we yes, it would be great to say I've done it and I'm independent and all that stuff, and I'm super independent, I'm super blind, and I can do all this stuff. But as great as that is, it's also a lie. To me, it's a lie.
Well, I think you're starting from the wrong place anyway. You don't have to justify anything when it comes to getting someone to do something for you. I don't think you have to justify it.
Yeah. I just don't want people. I never want someone sitting listening to this thinking, because I know there's people who think this way. They sit there and they hear people talk about all the great things. That's why I'm often against the whole kind of inspiration porn approach that people tend to have when it comes to stories about blind people. We're either digging around in the dirt trying to find our way out of it, or we're climbing mountains, or we're jumping out of perfectly serviceable aircraft, or whatever it is. And I'm sorry, I think there's a world in between, and I try to represent that here on the show because I think that's important. But also, I feel no one else is saying this stuff. It's as a phrase which I absolutely hate, by the way, which is it's okay to be okay. But I think I would add to that and say it's okay to be okay at things you do. If you're happy, if what you've achieved, if what you've done gets you through, like you never touched Braille, if it never appealed to you, if you only know how to tab an arrow key around NVDA and that's all you do, that's fine. There's no guilt or shame. Exactly, if it works for you. And I think we have to try and take that on board a little bit. There's no shame here. There should be no shame. And if people are shaming you, then you know what?
Shame on them.
It's a bit of projection from them, I would say.
It is. And I think sometimes as well, we put guilt on ourselves where maybe there isn't
all
any.
the time.
we're always doubting ourselves and putting ourselves under pressure. I can't
because we live in a
disagree with
world.
anything
Because we live in a
Tom
world.
said.
Yeah, but well,
Sorry,
Gregory
Gregory.
actually said it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
Tom, I think everyone said it. At
I
some
agree
point.
with Tom as well.
I agree. I agree with Pete.
Oh, well, how did you suddenly get the names? What have you done? Did you get someone in to read the email names
I did.
out for
I
you?
got a human being to come. No, I finally found the folder. I couldn't find
done.
it in the first email. I managed to find. Speaking of which, we'll go back to the emails, and actually, now I've lost the folder again. So let's.
Oh.
Here we go. You ready? Russian roulette. Email number 5.
Hello, Shaun and Stephen. I just wanted to just let you know something I found out last night. I think the YouTube channel is Blind Living, someone, and he was demonstrating a device called the Braille Buddy. Apparently, it's a portable Braille embosser, and it's for $1,500. I don't know if you want to check it out, but it looks quite good. It converts Braille, and it also does diagrams. So very interesting. I don't know if you want to take a look and let other listeners know about it. Sorry, it's Karen here from very unsunny Wales. Still loving the show, so keep up the good work. Take care. Bye.
Oh, thanks, Karen. Appreciate that.
Now, I had to use a lot of processing on Karen because Wales must have been very unsunny because it was very windy there.
Oh,
so that's
really?
why the audio was a little bit weird. The Braille Buddy, of course, talking about The Blind Life.
Yes,
The
Sam Seavey.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Braille Buddy and a portable embosser.
For all your portable embossing needs.
Are you still using your embosser?
I haven't used it since I moved it into that position, no.
No.
Funnily enough, if I want to send a note, I should just type it out on the Perkins. It's just a bit quicker, to be perfectly honest. I think, you know what it is? So Tim Dixon, as you know, Tim, who's been on the show many times, good friend of ours, he and I have been attempting to get together. He knows how these things work better than I do. And we've been trying for long enough to get a time together to actually sit down and get it set up. And I think I've gone through about 5 computers in that time. So, we haven't ever got there yet, and we just haven't had the time to work it out, but we will. I do want to use it because it's very good. The first time I used it, I thought the Braille off is amazing, but I haven't figured out how to get the alignment right. So all the Braille prints sideways, and I don't know why. So it cuts most of it off. So it's a bit annoying.
There's no rush.
I'll
It's only
figure
been
it out.
3 years.
Well, it's only had about 10. So, we're getting there.
It's fine. No guilt, Stephen Scott. Take your time.
Exactly. I'm taking my time. I have no shame. There you go. It's going to be the new name of this show. No shame.
Shameless. Okay.
Right, let's go to another message.
Hey, gentlemen. This is Jim from Florida and Georgia, depending on the time of the week or month.
Right.
Anyway, I heard your show talking about Google and Apple and, people kind of looking at both or switching or whatever. A couple things. The reason I've stayed with Apple for me as a person who's blind is so that I can call the Apple customer service, accessibility customer service. I have not found Google to have, or any of the brands to have a really reliable tech assistance for people with disabilities. So I don't know if you all want to talk about that, or maybe I'm behind and not aware of that. The other thing with the Google, too, is to me, because it's an open system, I know there's a lot of marketing. It's kind of like being on YouTube where there's constantly ads or pop-ups or things. I don't seem to get those with Apple. Other people might, but I don't know whether VoiceOver filters that out, but I don't feel like I'm being marketed to all the time. And I know that's part of the revenue stream for Google is that. So, I've got a 13, regular iPhone 13. I'm thinking about getting a new phone. I'm going to wait and see what the new thing is, and then everything gets cheap again. So probably going to go for a 16 Pro. I don't really want a large phone, like something about the size I've got. I also wonder how I'm going to navigate if I can use the dynamic window or if I should get that phone y'all were talking about a few months ago that doesn't have a dynamic window, so lots of questions about that stuff. Anyway, so it's just interesting to hear what you all have to say. Also, one last thing. I have the Meta glasses, the old ones, which I really love. But I'm not. We get updates, but I can't always find what is in the new updates. You get something cool like Be My Eyes or Seeing AI, where they're always marketing, hey, this is a new thing you can do, and all that. Seems like every week or two we get something new, and I'm in the States. I understand you all still don't have live AI. I think that's ridiculous. Hopefully they can fix that soon. Anyway, I'll shut up now. Great show. Good job. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jim. He's in his RV listening to us somewhere between Florida and Georgia. Georgia.
No singing.
For the blind. That's exactly what the title of that song. I interviewed a band. This will interest Jim. I interviewed a band years ago into my country music days called Florida Georgia Line.
Oh.
There you go.
Was that from Jim?
No, it wasn't. I don't think Jim was in the band.
You never know.
Who knows? But yeah,
okay.
It was a very good band.
Google or Apple? Do you want to answer that, Stephen?
That's a good one to end on, isn't it? Well, that's the rest of the show basically covered up with that. Google versus Apple. Well, look, I don't think we need to have this debate, do we?
No, we don't.
Honestly.
But let's answer a couple of things about adverts. Apple don't have adverts, Google do. I'm not sure Google do actually at a system level or OS level. I mean, obviously, you're going to get adverts on websites anyway, no matter what you're using. Inside apps, if it's an ad-funded, if it's a free app, you're going to get adverts on Apple and Google. So I'm not too sure about that. And when it comes to getting technical support, customer support, I think Google do have an accessibility line.
Yes, they do. They do.
Of course, it does depend where you are in the world as well.
Well, in America, they have everything. It's absolute nirvana over there.
Even in Georgia or Florida?
In both Georgia and Florida. And I believe at the same time.
Wow, that's amazing. Very cool. When it comes to what's new in the Meta AI app or what new features are coming to the glasses, it's tricky now. It used to be that you could go through the Learn and Explore section on the home screen of the Meta AI app. That's gone. That's no longer there. I'm not sure if it's under the Devices tab. You may see that. But yeah, just keep listening to Double Tap and we'll tell you.
Yeah, that's the simplest way of doing it. I mean, obviously, hopefully, we will remember to tell you. I know there is a new update. Is it 19.1? That's the latest one that's come out.
Do you know, I've even stopped looking at my updates because every time I go to device settings, update, it just says, click here to check. No updates available. It's just, there's nothing
It must
there
be auto-updating for you, though.
I've got auto-update turned on, yeah. But, I mean, that's kind of the point as well Jim was making, that if you turn that off and go through to an update and it's sat there, you can read what's new.
That's right, yeah.
Otherwise, you can't. So maybe it's best to turn that off, auto-update.
I think that's probably a good idea anyway, considering the amount of updates they're pushing through. It could have impact on the glasses and the functionality. So might be a good idea to turn that off anyway. Right. Just to quick mention, all right, I'm not being judgy.
Make me feel guilty.
Yeah, I'm making you feel guilty. I want to talk a little bit about the phones because you were talking about, now you're saying 16, but I think you mean 17 Pro, Jim, the new one that's come out. So there is the 16E, which is an option as well. Now you're talking about Dynamic Island, a place I will never visit. I cannot stand Dynamic Island, personally. Don't see the point of it. Pain in the neck, useless, get rid of it, pointless.
It's great.
Awful.
It's starting to come into its own. Like so many of these Apple features, you think, I've had this for years and it doesn't do anything.
Garbage.
We're seeing live activities come in there. You get your delivery, you get your takeaway delivery. You want to know what time it's coming? Just move your finger up to this.
Don't need it.
Move up to... No. Well, you might be looking at something. You might be reading an email.
It tells you.
Just move your finger up to the top. And
you never read an email in your life.
Then if you double tap on the Dynamic Island, it will then open said app. If you're listening to music, apparently that's up there, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, pointless.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's pointless, but it's also non-invasive.
It's pointless. It's pointless because they have activities on the screen or they have notifications on the home screen anyway. So it will tell you, and it gives you a lot more information than just, what was it said, about? Black square, 20 minutes?
What are you talking about?
That was the Uber one, remember? It just said black square or something and then 20 minutes. I mean, if you know what that means, that's great. I had no idea for the longest time. And then there's a thing that comes up that says heading your way. It's a live activity that's on the home screen, and it tells you then when your thing will arrive.
Which will also be in the dynamic island.
Don't need it.
I use it all the time. When I'm in an Uber, it updates telling you when you will arrive at your destination.
No, that's not the dynamic island. That's
Yes,
on the
it
home
is.
screen. That's a notification on your home screen.
No,
you know nothing.
I know everything. It's also in the dynamic island, Stephen Scott.
Utter garbage.
Terrible. On that bombshell, I think that's the end of the show. Forever.
So buy the 16E because it doesn't have dynamic island. That's the point. Although you also lose MagSafe.
Doesn't it?
No, it doesn't have dynamic island.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm. I checked it out.
Okay.
I
yeah,
did
right.
my research.
No, you're right. No, well done, Stephen Scott. You're right. I'm wrong.
Wow, that's been an interesting one. There's been a whole host of different topics in that. I enjoyed that today.
Rollercoaster
It was a
ride.
bit, wasn't it? We had
very
emotions. We had shouting. It was great. I loved it. Let's do it again tomorrow. We'll get into more emails tomorrow. And of course, keep your feedback coming. Feedback at doubletaponair.com. Shaun, the WhatsApp number
Is
Love doing
01641. Okay, what is it?
It's available on our website, doubletaponair.com/contact. 1613-481-0144. There you go.
That's it. Yeah, correct.
I've got to get that first few numbers out and then the rest just
I know
fall
the
in line.
0144. It's just some numbers before that.
If only I had printed out in Braille and sat it right here. Maybe if I get that embosser working at some point, we'll actually do
Always
that.
a joy, Stephen Scott, working with you.
Never a chore. Catch you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.